Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We have this up over at LouisianaSports.net, but our friends over at BetOnline.ag have released the projected win totals for all 32 NFL teams. And I don't want to bury the lead here, but it's not good for the New Orleans Saints. The Cleveland Browns, they project to have the lowest win total for the season at 4.5. The New Orleans Saints are one win better than the Cleveland Browns. Projected their over-under win total for 2025 at 5.5 wins. If you're wondering about the rest of the division, the NFC South, Tampa, 9.5, Atlanta, 7.5, Carolina, 6.5, New Orleans, 5.5. For whatever it's worth, a year ago, the Saints' win total opened at 7.5, and they finished, we know, with 5 wins. So clearly and dramatically lower than what it was a season ago. Denver, biggest jump, up 4 wins from their projected total a year ago. New England up 3 wins from their projected total a year ago. Washington make the NFC Championship game in year 1 with a rookie quarterback. It'll do it. They're up 3 wins from a season ago. Cleveland and the Jets, both off 4 wins. Atlanta down 3 wins from what they were projected a year ago. Remember when Kirk Cousins went to Atlanta, there were a lot of people high on the Falcons. But not this year, clearly. You know, when I look at that, it's very hard for me to look at anything other than this feeling that the New Orleans Saints are still very much in win-now mode, where they view themselves as contenders. It's why they restructured Derek Carr. It's why they restructured other contracts, not only to get within cap compliance, but to free up additional cash to be able to go sign Justin Reed and sign Brandon Cooks and re-sign Chase Young and re-sign Juwan Johnson. And this is the biggest problem I have with what the Saints have done and where they are. Well, I understand you were going to have to rework contracts to get within cap compliance. My biggest problem is going beyond that to free up the additional tens of millions of dollars of cap space, some $30 million or so of additional cap space, to be able to re-sign Chase Young and Brandon Cooks and Justin Reed and Juwan Johnson and all the things that they've done. That hasn't made you better. Maybe marginally, as opposed to if you had gone with younger, less expensive players. But you're still not a contender. And even if these odds makers are off, like let's say they're off by 3 games, which would be significant. Even if they're off by 3 games, that makes you an 8-win team. You're still not in the playoffs. And the problem is every time you restructure those deals, you sacrifice the future to win now. And I was okay doing it when you had Drew Brees because you were a legit contender. And you say, well, worry about the future when we get there. We got to win now. Okay, I'm with it. But the problem is you're nowhere closer to winning now than you were the day Drew Brees left. But you keep sacrificing the future. And this only further reinforces that. And I'm not saying that the odds makers are a be-all, end-all. But my goodness, y'all. I mean, they got those big, fancy, shiny buildings for a reason. They're not used to being way wrong. And the only team in the NFL they're projecting with fewer wins, not in the NFC, not in the NFC South, the only team in the NFL, the 32, only one is projected to win fewer games in New Orleans, the Cleveland Browns. Even if you exceed that expectation, you're still not a contender. And that's the really tough part of this to stomach. So the Saints are going to go into this draft season with 9 picks and looking to fortify the roster. We'll see what they do. Matt Miller from ESPN was with us earlier in the week. If you missed that conversation, you can catch it on demand on YouTube or podcast. Just search AFR Saints, and you can catch it right there. And AFR LSU, by the way. We talked a lot about the LSU guys. Matt Miller at 9 overall has the Saints taking Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas. And I don't hate that, by the way. I don't know what type of grade the Saints have on Jahdae Barron, but you need a cornerback, right? I mean, you traded Marshon Lattimore, and then you saw Paulson Adebo leave in free agency. You've got Kool-Aid McKinstry, you've got Alontae Taylor, but yeah, I mean, absolutely, you need a cornerback at some place in this draft. And if you feel like you're getting an elite lockdown number one corner at 9 overall that can play opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry, and then maybe Alontae Taylor kicks back to the slot or goes and plays safety. Awesome. You got the people in the right seats on the bus. This is the one that's going to be a controversial to many. At number 40 overall, he's got the Saints taking Quinn Ewers out of Texas. And I've given you my thoughts on Quinn Ewers, but that's largely been the context of Quinn Ewers as a day 3 pick. Quinn Ewers at 40, you better be convicted, because if you're taking a player 40th overall, you're expecting them to be a starter. Regardless of the position, you're taking someone at 40, you're expecting them to be a starter for you. You know, we've talked about this a lot over the years, that, you know, Archie Manning is the only player, the only quarterback the Saints have ever taken in round 1 in their history. Since 1967, the Saints have used one first-round pick on a quarterback. Archie Manning, 1972. Do you know how many times they've used a first-round pick? Excuse me. Do you know how many times they've used a second-round pick? Like, that's what this would be. Quinn Ewers at 40. Do you know how many times they've used a second-round pick on a quarterback? Do y'all know? Is this common knowledge? Do you know? Do y'all know? I don't know if it's common knowledge.
Never.
Paulie, got a guess?
I'll say 2.
They've never taken a quarterback in round 2. After Archie Manning, here you go. Do you know the highest they've drafted a quarterback? Do you know who it was? After Archie number 1, who is the next highest quarterback drafted in the history of the New Orleans Saints? Either you got to guess. It's okay if you don't know it.
Yeah, no, I don't even guess.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Aaron Brooks?
They didn't draft
Aaron Brooks. Never mind, they didn't draft him, yeah.
Garrett Grayson.
Oh, Lord.
In round 3. Archie Manning in 1972, first round. Garrett Grayson out of Colorado State, round 3. You wonder why the Saints have been dog poo for most of their lives? That's why. In a league where you have to have a quarterback to win, the Saints have never invested in a quarterback. That's why. Garrett Grayson, by the way, is the only third-round pick they've ever taken. They've used a fourth-round pick 3 times. 4 times. Danny Werfel, Doug Nussmeier, Jake Haener, Ian Book. Do you want to know why the Saints have been dog poo for most of their lives? That's why. You don't invest in the most important position in organized team sports. That's why you've stunk for your whole career, for your whole organization's history, except when you hit the friggin' jackpot because Miami's idiots and they didn't sign Drew Brees. So part of me would be thrilled if they took a quarterback at 40. But you better be convicted on Quinn Ewers as a starter if you're going to take him at 40. A few other observations from Matt Miller's 7-round mock. First of all, the Saints have 9 picks. Go ahead. You're laughing. Go ahead. Say it. You can say it.
They ain't making all 9
picks.
picks.
They ain't making 9 picks. Muse. Mark the tape.
Yeah. Marked.
Mark the tape. We're going to bring this back. Because I think I said the same thing last year, didn't I?
I mean, probably. I think we've said the same thing the last decade,
They
probably.
came. No, you know what it was? I think they had 3 third-round picks last year.
That's what it was, yeah.
And I was like, there's a better chance of me waking up and having or becoming president of the United States than the Saints using all 3. And they almost did, by the way. But anyway, they ain't making 9 picks. They're not. The last time the Saints drafted 9 players was in 2015, which, by the way, might be their worst draft in the history of the organization. That was Andres Pete, Stephon Anthony, the worst draft in the history of the organization. Prior to that, 2002 was the last time. So since 2002, they've taken 9 players one time. They're going to package picks and move up. It's just what they do. But interestingly, at 93 overall, that's the pick they got from Washington for Lattimore. They have the Saints taking JT Tuimoloau, an edge from
The Ohio State University.
Ding. Come on. Ding. I mean, of course.
Who
Who else are you going to take?
got to get one of them at least.
Got an Ohio State guy there. Of course you're going to take it.
Tradition.
I like what he has them doing positionally. A starting cornerback, a high-level quarterback, Jalen Royals out of Utah State, a receiver at 71, a couple of offensive linemen in Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia, and Jacob Bayer, center from Arkansas State, a couple of edge rushers. I mentioned the kid from Ohio State, also Elijah Roberts from SMU, Jordan James, the running back from Oregon with a mid-round pick, Andrew Armstrong, the wide receiver from Arkansas. So a running back, couple of edge rushers, couple of receivers, couple of offensive linemen. I like conceptually what he's doing, how he pieces it there. It's really just going to be a question of what do you do at the top of the draft. But no matter what you do in this draft, it's not going to make you a contender. And to circle it back where we started, odds makers have the Saints win total over under 5.5. There's just not enough out there to take you from that to a contending team this year. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.